Flagship Mother Earth. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Radio for the Soul and the Transformation Station. I am Keith Anthony Blanchard Yanava. Welcome all my cave dwellers, those who are living their life in a state of samadhi. What is samadhi? I'm sure my guest tonight, Sri Vish, can share a little bit with us about that. Center of Light Radio, Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I usually do some adverts, but there's one advert I have to do. September 21st and 22nd. 4 Point Spiritual Expo, Memphis, Tennessee. While I'm thinking about it, please share this to you all. Always share this to you all. For those who are interested in attending this powerful spiritual event, 4 Points Spiritual Expo, put on by Circle of Chi. That's Circle of QI, Circle of Chi. You can find Circle of Chi on Facebook as well as the internet. Spiritual Expo is going to happen in Memphis. Keynote speaker, Dr. Rita Louise. Keynote speaker, Dr. Jason Rand. Larry Flaxman from Ancient Aliens on the Discovery Channel. Lynette Marie. I will be a keynote speaker. Speakers all day long. There's going to be, let's see, I got my notes here. These tons of vending booths. Crystals and stones, nutrition, holistic medicine services, environmentally conscious businesses, spiritual readers everywhere, authors, more and more speakers, paranormal investigators, researchers, Akashic records, auric photography, free and paid workshops, food trucks, and lots of entertainment. That's September 21st and 22nd. Admission is $15 per day or $20 for 2 days. If you're from out of town and you want to make the event, come into town the night before. I play music all the time. Maybe we can hang out, get up and go eat some breakfast somewhere, and take off to the spiritual fair. Sunday is going to be a keynote speaker panel, and we're going to be talking about, it slips my heart at this time, I think it's about truly walking into your power, which tonight my guest is going to be sharing with us. The magic of God. Let me tell you a little bit. If you want to know more about the spiritual fair, the spiritual expo, contact me immediately. Tickets are going fast, and we want to get you into all the goodies and before certain things get full and there's no more placement for you. Let me know. 21st and 22nd of September here in Memphis, Tennessee. 4 Point Spiritual Expo put on by Circle of Chi, Victoria Smith. Thank you. Let me tell you about my guest tonight. Sri Vishwanath. Let me tell you, he told me just to call him Vish. So, Vish, popularly known as Sri, what I try to pronounce, Vishwanath, is an Indian-born American author, speaker, and author of 11 popular and best-selling transformational books. 11, wow! Including The Secret of the Bhagavad Gita, No Nonsense Meditation, 7 Spiritual Strategies, Giving Up Your Excess Baggage, and Zero Effort. He is the founder of the Bhagavad Gita University, which distributes innovative and inspirational material aimed at making the world abundant, peaceful, and stress-free. Let me grab these real quick before I bring them on the air. The little copy. He was born in March 24th. That should say 1972, but it says 1072. And he's ancient. He's eternal. In Mumbai, India, and currently resides in Orlando, Florida. His education, Mumbai University, Institute of Cost and Work Accountants of India, Institute of Company Secretary of India. To book him, instead of me going through all of that, I'm going to drop that in this forum. There are the links to Vish. Hello, everyone, as well as Vish, my bro. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, yo.
Oh, welcome. Thank you very much for having me in.
How do you want to
Thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome, sir. I'm going to assume that here in the West, most people fell into spirituality because they had no choice.
Yeah.
Something happened and they're crying out to God, saying, "Please, please," and a particular book shows up, and they read, and their life changes. I'm
Yeah,
going to assume you were born into this being Hindi. Yes, would that be correct?
correct. Yeah, that's true.
And
Uh,
so, when did you start getting your spiritual momentum going as an individual to begin to share with the world the knowledge and power in the form of what you were born into? When did you get this going?
yeah, so I was just lucky. I mean, fundamentally, we were just, I was born of a very ritualistic family. Like my parents, we used to adhere to a lot of rules, spiritual rituals. And what happens in the ritual things is you subconsciously, embrace these truths, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And even if you're just present, even if you don't get involved, just by seeing all that stuff. So all that was there for the first 15-20 years. And then at the age of 26, when a week before my son was born, I started chanting the Gayatri mantra like 1,008 times. So that started just suddenly. And it's from that point on that I used to spend insane hours. And the idea was I wanted to know the truth. And I didn't sort of like get up. I think some force pushed me there. And so for years, was uh, I was lucky. I read only Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. I stuck to them. In Ramakrishna, he is one of the spiritual towering personalities of India, and Vivekananda is the most prolific written author who is his disciple. So I combined. I had a combination of practice, experience, then faith, as well as knowledge. So that was where went to for the first 10 to 11 years. And then at that point, I realized all I was doing is I was bloating my intellect. Like all these, knowledge I was getting was only making my intellect expand a contract. But when I used to get an emotion, negative emotion, all my knowledge would go dump. Like everything would go useless. All my whatever 15. That was when I realized that that's not how the great ones did that. They received it directly. You do not. It's not about understanding this. So it's that is when I made that switch, that they were receiving it, they were not trying to understand it. And so that was about 7 to 8 years back. And at that point, I was just writing books, and so that made a big switch. And so then I branched onto Vedanta. Vedanta is the most evolved branch of Hinduism, which talks about which is the fastest humanly possible way, and which is why it's accepted a lot, and which is the future in United States. It is the most fertile country, United States, for embracing Vedanta, because it does not punish you for your past. You see, most any religion or any spiritual practice, if you sit down for meditation, your past will come into play, whether you want it or not. But this is a knowledge-driven and a knowledge-driven method of learning, where experience can be added on top of it, faith can be added, but it directly addresses the thing. Whereas if you look traditionally, Buddhism is an experience-based religion. You go from experience to knowledge. All other faiths, including many parts of Hinduism, are faith-based religions. You go from faith to knowledge, or you directly go of faith, and you have to have faith on that one person. This is direct knowledge, a knowledge of the Brahman, which is the universal soul. So that's how that's a little bit of the background.
Is that Ananda Maima on the shelf?
What's that?
Is the deity in that picture, is that Ananda Maima?
This one? No, no, no. That is Sharada Devi, which is Ramakrishna. This is Ramakrishna middle, and that's Sharada Devi's wife. So she was also a very towering personality.
Love it. Something you said really hit me sweet. Hit me hard, but it hit me sweet. Was the ancients, they weren't trying to understand something. And
Yes,
trying to understand something, oh, I get it, so that means I need to do this. No, it doesn't. It means it's not about an understanding something, it's about making the direct connection to
correct.
receiving something that is so beyond understanding in and of itself. That's the point. You can't understand it. You might
You
get an
can.
inkling of what you
Yeah.
think it might be. And as
Yes,
soon as you decide that you think you know what it is, you've already lost it.
correct. You're right. So,
Woo! That
so,
was yummy.
so if you take any words of any scriptures or anyone told by the great one, they are spirit transformed into words. So we have to realize that this whole thing is an appearance on the top of the universal soul Brahman, and so it is not non-duality is the truth, and so when we try to understand it, it becomes a mirror. So basically, all spiritual, texts, they are mirrors. And so if you try to understand it, you will see a better version of your mind. That's all you will see. And yeah, that's all you see. And so you'll be wasting time. You'll be wasting time because it's, and so if you just sit, if you just sit before, for example, if you go before, uh, if it's a mirror, the first thing you should do is you should just sit there not wanting anything, because the mirror will automatically reflect its power onto you. Here the biggest mistake one is making is trying to force the text to reveal something. So this is a mirror. It will just reveal itself to you if you just spend time there without wanting anything. So here's the thing: what happens? Anyone and everyone, for whatever reason, since human beings are curious, want some affiliate spirituality with some sort of power. So there's a poem by Vivekananda. It says, you know, uh, behold it, it's a power that is not power. So what is important to realize is, all if you take all the powers of the world, whether it's bringing the person, bringing a dead person back to life, reading a person's mind, walking on water, doing whatever it is, all these things, you take all that power and you remove that power is the real spiritual sir. Behold it comes in might, the power that is not power, the power that is not power.
Vish, something I've been talking about recently, and I'm so glad you are echoing what I've been. I do this presentation called The Cave, and it's reflective or metaphorical for samadhi, going into that place that we swore we would never go
Yeah.
visit again because of the emotional trauma. But that's where liberation is.
Yes.
But so something I've been saying in these presentations called The Cave is that people think that you have a this and you have a that. So if it's not this, then it has to be that. And they get caught between these two polarities. And they even think that, well, this one over here is bad and the one over here has to be good, so I'm winning. And what I'm
Yes.
saying and what you are saying is beyond this and that, there's something else. And this
Yes.
something else holds dimensions, levels of bliss and ecstasy and wisdom that cannot be contained in the this or the that.
Correct.
So to choose one that you think is better than the other, you're still selling yourself short from the glory, the infinite majesty that simply sits there and waits.
Correct. That's correct. So the simplest example given in the Vedanta is deep sleep. Deep sleep, not dream. So in the deep sleep, you will notice that a man is not a man, a woman is not a woman. A person, a terrorist is not a terrorist. A saint is not a saint. A sinner is a sinner. What it means is, in deep sleep, no one on earth suffers. No one during the moment of the deep sleep. So they studied deep sleep and they replicated that in meditation and samadhi. Because in deep sleep, you get close to God, which is your bliss sheath. So there are 5 sheaths in us: the body sheath, the mind sheath, the intellect sheath, the prana sheath, and then the bliss sheath. The bliss sheath is only gets activated during deep sleep. When we wake up, the bliss sheath gets hidden like a hidden folder, and the other 4 are active, and in that other four is reflected all our ignorance, like a baggage. So happiness disappears just like unhappiness. But the source of happiness and unhappiness is bliss. So bliss is the fundamental foundation, which is what we want. So if people seek bliss, they may perhaps get it and discover the bliss sheath and all that stuff. But since we are seeking happiness, we also get unhappiness because we think we can retain happiness. You can't retain happiness because happiness is a reflection on the mind and intellect. Whereas bliss is a virgin. Bliss is virgin. Bliss does not disappear, it only gets hidden.
So are you saying that the reality of bliss is what gives people, so to speak, the power to choose being miserable? Everything comes from the source of bliss,
Yes,
love,
correct.
light,
Yes,
ecstasy.
right.
So
Yes.
it's what we do with the monkey mind that filters that very pure power
Yes.
into
Yes.
some whatever nonsense that
Correct.
we
Yeah.
choose.
Yeah. And that is why the first thing which Krishna tells to Arjun Bhagavad Gita is it's called avidya, ignorance. See, we are taking bliss and we are through ignorance making it happiness, which is like only limited because very soon it disappears. And then we make it unhappiness. And we do not, we think bliss is a word. No, it's not a word. It's called Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Ananda means bliss. So this is not an option. It's not a mix or match. It's not a word. It's the essence of your soul. Okay? It's the essence of.
Friend, one moment. Your picture disappeared. Give me a second.
Yes.
Welcome to Center of Light, everyone. I think this happened the other night, and I think I know what it is. One moment. Welcome to Center of Light, everyone. Keith Anthony Blanchard here with my guest, Sri Vish. No, sir, it's not on my end, sir. I have you as there. Is something accidentally muted on your end to mute your video, Vish?
No, I mean, I can, I see this.
I
What?
see a blue screen. We hear you just fine.
I think, yeah, let me just turn it off and then turn it on again.
Sure.
Oh, I did that. Why is it? Yeah,
There
it's
you
done.
are.
Okay.
There you are, rock star.
So I think maybe it was just showing us how it disappears, but it was not, so,
Please continue where you left
yeah.
off, my friend.
So yeah. So bliss is not a word; it's an essence. And so
I'm glad you said that, brother, because many people think bliss. You are correct. It's just a word that represents. I'm a little extra happy because the reason they think it's just a word because most people have not ever experienced bliss as to why it's
correct,
unimaginable to them.
correct. Yes. So the Sat Chit Ananda, which is existence, knowledge, and bliss, but that's the first knowledge we got to know that bliss sheet is like is something which is existing in which there is bliss, and you experience that in deep sleep. In deep sleep, there's no suffering. So if there's no suffering, it means there's bliss. Like right now, if there's light, you have to accept the fact that there's no darkness. And if there's darkness, there's no light. So in deep sleep, and the reason we don't observe deep sleep is because it's so near to us and we say, oh, what's there? It's like, people just close their eyes and they are gone. No, that which is nearest is least observed, says Vivekananda. That which is nearest is least observed. So the study of bliss is in our waking state. It is one of the fundamental secrets to, through visualization, to bring the bliss sheet in through a word and an image. See, we got to realize that how do we form ignorance? Through a word and image. You use a wrong word, you use a wrong image, or an ignorant word and you form ignorance. You see, everything in this world is a word and image. Everything. And yeah, so we use the same word and image of God to get back to the bliss sheet. To do that, first we need to know that there is a bliss sheet and there is an intellect sheet. And so there's a fundamental difference between them, that the bliss sheet doesn't have ignorance. Ignorance is inactive in that. That's just knowledge. Just like if you remove the SIM, the sim is inactive. It's not some magic. It's just inactive. So in the bliss sheath, our baggage is inactive. And so this meditation on this bliss sheath and having a word and image forming on that during a waking state is one of the many secrets where you can actually get out from this whole thing for a short second. Now, one thing I want to tell you, most people try to meditate for long hours. You should first try to get good in 12 seconds. 1 unit of concentration is 12 seconds. So if you don't, 2 units is 2.5 minutes, which is 12 by 12, 12 times 12, 144 seconds. And 3 units of concentration is 144 into 12, which is 28.6 minutes, which is samadhi. Okay, so 1 unit of concentration, if you get good in, you are very good to go. But most are not even understanding that.
You mean unbroken focus, to be absolutely
Yes,
honed in like a
yes,
magnifying glass,
for
no
12
thought,
seconds.
just completely, absolutely still and present.
For 12 seconds, yeah. And I'll tell you how it works. So what this concentration is, a word and image when it gets together, there is concentration. When a word and image gets together, there's concentration. How does it get together? No one knows, but it gets together. Okay. So let's say, for example, you take the face and you have to use a picture here. You have to use visualization. Best thing is to use a picture, let's say, of Krishna or Christ or whatever God one worships. You see the face or eyes and superimpose that face or eyes in your face. Using a word and image, you can use a mantra or just say Krishna. What is important is when there's unity of a word and image, a concentration is achieved. And when concentration is achieved, you break a dimension. You go from the intellect to the bliss sheath.
So, in other words, given our mind, excuse me, a task, not only giving the mind a task because that monkey wants to be busy, but when we concentrate on an idol, to use a word, don't take it out of context, listening audience, an image,
Yeah.
it allows us to break out of the prison and into the infinite by focusing
Yes.
on the
Correct.
finite. So, in other words, I've done this before and I've done this with my audience. When you focus on something, the real you can now become detached and become the
Yes.
observer. Is this
Yes.
what you're implying?
Yes. So it's like getting into a flight. You get into a flight and suddenly it takes off. You only have to get into the flight. You don't have to learn to fly. See, so if you realize that it's the unity between word and image is what forms a concentration, because the only way for us to get to the bliss is 1 unit of concentration. If you do not get that, that is the vehicle. There is no other way. You can do it through 10 million ways, but the easiest way is a word and image because it's the fastest and the most easiest way. And so when you do that, you get into the bliss sheath, and it's not like you're going to be there and you're going to have some experience. You got to have those moments. So as you keep doing that, you get those moments of 12 seconds. And so when you do that even once, when you come out of it, it's a very different thing. We got to realize that we should not worry too much about experiences. We have to
That
get
will
good.
that will naturally come on its own.
It comes on
That'll
its own.
just come on its own. Do the
Yes,
work.
it comes correct. It comes on its own. We have to get good in doing how the great ones realized that if you get good in this 12 seconds, if you get good in the second unit of concentration, and you got to keep doing because it will happen by itself. And that's when Shraddha, which is called devotion, faith. Now, if you say, oh, I did that, but I'm not getting any experience, you're not going to experience anything. How can you experience something in 12 seconds? It's happening. Many times you get into a flight, you'll sleep sometimes, or sometimes you will think this flight is going slow, but actually it's going at 1,000 miles per hour or whatever. See, inside we may think the flight is going slow, but it's going very fast. So
So you're saying that 12 seconds of concentration is more powerful and imbued with more power than sitting there for 20, 30 minutes just trying to find some sort of stillness.
yes, yeah, not 20, 30 minutes, 20 years.
Right. Wow.
And I'm not exaggerating, because I have spent more than 30,000 hours at the feet of Krishna doing the Bhagavad Gita in my last 18 years. So this what I am taking is from Raja Yoga, which is the yoga, that 1 unit of concentration is 12 seconds, which Vivekananda say. Because we do not, which is why we see many people in the caves spending 20, 30 years, and we think, oh, they have grown beards and done all that stuff, so they are great. Or they have done meditation for 30 years. It means nothing. Now, someone in India, there's in at 5 years, like Christ had 5 years. There's Adi Shankaracharya. I mean, he just got it. 5 years teaches to someone who is 70 or 80. The 20 years in meditation has got nothing. It is good. It brings discipline, commitment, but it does not. The goal here is to go from the intellect to the bliss sheath. That is the goal. And so, if you do not require 20,000 hours, because you have to realize something here. When you take only meditation, you're going for an experience-based path, which is what Buddhism and many forms of Hinduism and even what is taught around the world. When you go only for meditation, you are using meditation to know. Whereas this Vedanta is, you meditate because you know. You already know, so you meditate. Like I already know, like, there's a bliss sheath, and I've learned a lot about it. I also know what is an intellect sheath. I know that 1 unit of concentration is 12 seconds. And I know all this, and I've known it very clearly. And then when I sit, I also know that I just need a word and image, and when I unite it, it happens. So here you go from pure knowledge. In this case where we use only meditation, we use experience to go to knowledge, and that is very deceptive because it tries to fool us. Every person who meditates thinks he got it. Every person is just, it's like magic, Maya. Every person feels that, oh, I got it. I'm progressing. But I'll tell you that that is not how it was taught in the thing. Now meditation is a fad more than transformation process. So for it to be transformational, you got to know, and you got to get good in that 12 seconds, then 2.5, 44 seconds, all that. Not 12 seconds in exact 12 seconds, but
Let me ask you this. Let's say John Doe has been practicing going inward seriously. He's serious
yes,
about it, right? He's really
yes,
serious.
correct.
And so he goes inside, and he's been doing it for 2 or 3 months without wanting a result. I mean, he's just
Yes.
serious about it.
Okay.
Will he know when he's achieved 12 pure seconds? Or in other words, when a person finally does achieve that 12 seconds of absolute stillness,
Yes.
will something inside say, that's it, you've done it?
Okay.
Is there a feeling or something that integrates that lets us know that?
Okay. On paper, I would say it's impossible that can happen, because we got to realize knowledge means something which is already written, which if you go through experience, you would always use your mind and intellect. See, whenever I'm speaking now, every single word, none of that is my own. None of that. We got to know that the words have already been written. The truth has already been written. So I don't have to fundamentally experiment whether 12 second is right. If I do that, it means I'm doing something fundamentally wrong, wherein I'm in the wrong place. If I'm
Because
trying,
it's asking for some sort of validation.
yeah, validation.
Right,
Correct.
right. But the reason I asked the question is because from the point of view that it might support someone, you've done it
Yes.
right. So it feels like this. I thought it might be a way shower kind of thing.
Yes. Okay. So for that person who has done 3 months, if he has done it with a lot of dedication, here's what happens when you do it with a lot of faith, dedication, and doing it with the right attitude, you somehow might bump across this knowledge, either through searching or something like that, and you may fall, because eventually a truthful seeker will somehow bump across this knowledge fast. A person who holds on to the fact that no, I got to experience it myself. If you put too much emphasis on experience, It looks nice because it gives freedom, and you say, oh, but you have to realize you would be like the man in the cave. It will take 30, 40 years, and probably not in this lifetime. Probably not in this lifetime. Now this might be totally against many which people might teach, but this is the truth, because I am telling you from reality and having studied this whole thing, that there is the experience to knowledge journey is not a good path, because it if you are serious about this soul, okay, if you are using this for something else like many people do, then it is fine because you can find out. But if, like, let's say for example, if you want to meet someone in this universe, which is important, you would directly see the direct contact. You would try to say, how can I reach him directly, right? Who the hell told that it should take 30 years? Now, we have in Hinduism, in 7 days, taught on the banks of the river, 7 days, you reach the point of enlightenment. 7 days. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna shares 700 plus verses. So, in 7 days, a person can go through pure knowledge and practice based on that knowledge to a position of self-realization where he attains moksha. Moksha means you're not born again. The purpose of life.
Let's hold that thought right there. I'm at the bottom of the hour. Everyone, tonight, my guest is Sri Vish. I'm going to just call him Sri Vish, and we're talking about the magic of God. And I'm really digging this conversation, or basically actually listening, because these are some of the same things that I already do, but I don't know them by terms. So this is really setting with me in a very, very powerful way. I am now posting my guest tonight, Sri Vish, links in the forum. Feel free to contact him there. He has lots of social media links. Also, welcome to Center of Light, everyone. Again, September 21st and 22nd, Spiritual Fair in Memphis, Tennessee. 4-Point Spiritual Expo. Contact me for information. Many keynote speakers. It's going to be a powerful experience. Gemstones, healers, readers, auric photography, energy healing, sound healing, this and that. I want to say thank you again to Victoria Smith and Circle of Chi. That's Circle of QI. You can find that on Facebook. And Circle of Chi, that's Circle of QI on the internet. Had to take a short pause. I am dedicated to making that advert. Welcome back to Center of Light Radio, my brother Vish. The magic of God. I am truly loving this dialogue. I love the title. Please continue where you left off with moksha.
Yes, moksha. So moksha means you're not born again. Okay. So the purpose of life, the purpose why we are given this body, is to attain this self-realization so that we are not born again. Because if we are born again, then this life serves no purpose. Because that's what we have done. So many unlimited births. Then when we pass away, our speech enters the mind enters the prana, and then the prana leaves the body, and then it seeks another body. So it's an endless thing. One lifetime is sufficient. The reason why we've got a human body, now animals can't attain moksha, neither can anything else. So human beings, even angels can't. Okay, those who think that angels in heavens are more powerful than you, they are not. They only have superior powers of mind. But if they want to attain self-realization, they have to come down on earth and have a human body.
They have to be a human. Yes, sir. Satya Sai Baba said the same thing. He said, human birth is the apex of all creation. It is only through human birth that God can be realized. Everything else in the universe can aspire to humanhood, but it is only through the avenue and the vessel of humanhood that God can be realized. Fantastic. That is delicious.
Yes, because all, the gods in heaven, when I say gods in heaven, the angels, or what we call the angels in your terminology, is they cannot form fresh karma. That means they are only living through like the past karma fruits, and when that is over, they either come back down or they do whatever. So only human beings. So human birth, if you see, is you could have been born an animal with just 1 second, because the way the whole thing was is our soul enters into a plant that's eaten by That's consumed by the parents, father, then through interaction, so that plant, if it is consumed by an animal, you you and I would have been an animal. So the probability, and so who protected you and me? That is that force, strong force, which is protecting everything, like rerouting all that stuff. So human birth, the purpose of this body, and we do not realize and we don't care for it because we feel no, our purpose is this world. So there's a saying, the whole of nature is for the soul and not the soul for the nature.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
it's a very big thing. So this whole of the world is for the soul, not the soul for the world. So uh, we all feel, everyone gets stuck up in something, doing good, this and all that is fine if you get a chance. But the whole world, the whole of nature is for the soul, not the soul for the nature. You have not come here to fix nature or to correct it. It's very important. So it's very, if you get a chance, you should do it, but you should not. There are many people who have burnt their life trying to help someone without missing this purpose. This is the main purpose. Everything else is secondary. So if you get a chance to help, by all means go and do whatever various thing. But if you think that by giving a charity of 1 billion or by helping 10,000 people, feeding, you can attain this, it is not. It's a very important thing to realize. You will get the attitude to come here, but you should not mistake helping the world to be the goal. It's a very big thing. You are, because there are many people who have got stuck up through compassion and
So what you're saying is you have to help yourself first before one,
Yes,
by the law of physics and the law of spirituality. You have to fill yourself up first, because if you don't, you can't write a blank check to someone. It's going to bounce.
correct.
So let me ask you something, and I totally agree with everything you're saying. Not that it matters whether I agree or not, but I just support what you're saying. If the main goal is to go back,
Yes,
it sounds contradictory, but if the main goal is to go back and to get out of reincarnating, why did we
yes,
ever come here in the first place? Just to
yes,
have with the hope of just one human experience and go back? I mean,
yeah,
what's the reason we ever came here if we're supposed to go back so
yeah,
quick?
yeah. So it's not the first time that you and I have come back. The beginning, if you use the term beginning means not beginning of, we are fascinated by the word beginning. We think it started at something. No, the beginning means ignorance, beginning of ignorance. Right now, there is no beginning. Beginning means beginning of ignorance. All cycle. Like I'll be born here, I die. The universe runs for 4.32 billion years, and then one cycle goes over, again it starts. Now you say, when did it start? Well, there's no beginning and there's no end, because the beginning is ignorance. So what we are doing here is we are ending ignorance. That's what one means by moksha, by not being born. That is just a physical goal. But the reality is we are ending ignorance.
Something I want to add to help some of the audience who may need it. I love it. You said the beginning doesn't mean there was a point in time where God
Yes.
said, let's
Yes.
call
It's
this
not
the
start.
beginning.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
beginning equaling ignorance means that if you are one of infinite consciousness, there
Yes.
is no beginning, there is no end. You are in the
Correct.
eternal ocean. So the beginning
Correct.
truly, and it's not metaphorical, it's literal, that it's a beginning point for you because you fell asleep from the
Correct.
awakened
Yes.
consciousness.
Yes.
Wow!
That's what it is. It is because there's only one, and so why is this one appearing as a two? Why am I seeing my body? Why am I seeing my mind? Because this Brahman, when it attributes itself to Maya, which is the ignorance, we see that. So you can study as much as you want, but you will realize that this whole thing is an appearance on the top. This whole our body, mind, and the body is also considered nature. Okay, mind is also concluded as nature. So body, mind, people, events, nature, all that is a. And how do you realize it? In deep sleep, you can take the example. Deep sleep is the most beautiful example because the whole mind intellect goes away, the world also goes. Where is the world? You're not even aware of the body. Forget the mind. And then in your dream, take the dream. The deep sleep is the most beautiful thing where the universal soul, in the universal soul, Maya, which is the ignorance, is sleeping, unmanifest. And then in dream, you see it manifest. It like you can, nothing is impossible in dream. You can do anything, like you can fly all over.
I
How is
killed
that
a I killed a
possible?
dinosaur last night. In my sleep, I
Yes,
killed a dinosaur.
correct. And you killed a dinosaur because it's possible. This
Right.
anything is possible. And what happens is that shows that the ignorance gets manifested in the dream. It's a classic case. And then in the waking state, we make a big deal of it because we compare it to the dream and deep sleep. We don't have anything else to compare the waking state, which is why we think that whatever is happening in the waking state is the highest. But this is
So
nothing
what
between.
you are saying, in essence, for those who don't understand such terminology and such way of thinking and putting ideas and fashion them together,
Okay.
to bring us to a place of understanding, so we can eventually throw the understanding away and be.
Okay.
What you are really saying is that don't take this world so serious. Even the things that we habitually take serious, because this truly doesn't mean anything at all whatsoever and never will.
Yes. So I would like to make a little slight modification. Um, taking the word seriously or not depends on the personality of a person, right? Some people take everything seriously, and so for me, I take all my work very with a lot of, like this interview also, I take it seriously. So it is important to do whatever you're doing with a very high attitude. It's not that this is not important, because this gives you the strength, but it's important to realize that when you mentally process it, you got to bring in the knowledge and the practice and realize that what you're seeing around you as far as your mental perceptions, that is not, that is completely out of place. Because you can quickly get to a place where you can separate your mind and intellect from this without doing like million hours of meditation, or without breathing through the 100th chakra or whatever chakra there is. You can do that through the knowledge and meditation. So you can handle complex problems of life, which are mostly mind related problems, very fast. When I say very fast, meaning you can see the progress, as well as realize that, yeah, I think if I keep going here, I can get here very quickly. I think big complex problems, according to me, can be solved within 30 days, just like I have the book Magic of God. Or if you get a real source, you can do it in 7 days. It is fast, this process, because it goes from a perspective of knowledge. It takes away the mental suffering. Okay, so at this point, I want to tell you something important. There's a difference between pain and suffering. So pain is something you and I can't avoid. It's karma driven. It lasts for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or 5 minutes, or 20 minutes. But suffering is continual. It's like pain transforms itself to suffering and sits in the mind, in the intellect, and you keep processing it. So the
Would,
first
would,
job,
would you say suffering is a choice?
yes. So the first job of spirituality is to eliminate suffering, because suffering is 100% in your hands, pain is not. Because like, say for example, you can say something to me and I may get upset, or I may say I can't do anything as far as pain is concerned, because pain is like a front door, anyone can throw anything and go away. So pain is it's not 100% in your control. In fact, you should not bother about it, because pain and pleasure comes and goes. But suffering is 100% in your control, because it is born out of the ignorance in the mind and the intellect.
The beginning.
And yes, the beginning. And you can definitely destroy it. And you will notice, if you destroy suffering, you will be very, very peaceful. It's not pain that is giving you unhappiness. It is the inability to destroy suffering, which is what is giving us lack of peace. Because
That's
peace,
powerful, bro. That
yes,
is really, really powerful. That
yes,
is like really, really powerful. I remember years ago, Vish, when I had a kidney stone.
okay,
You ever had a kidney stone?
I mean, I don't want to even.
I had a kidney stone, and I'm laying there, and and I went to a meditation, and I said, you know what? This is just raw energy. I'm not going to even call it pain. It's just a feeling, a very intense feeling. So I allowed it to become free energy, right? And
Okay.
as I allowed it to become free energy and realized the self-induced suffering that I went into when I laid on the bed, I realized that I equated pain to suffering and suffering to death and death being
Y-
the end.
Yes.
When I came to that realization, it stopped. I went to the doctor, I strained my urine and never found a stone. So 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 suffering
That's
is
very good. I think that,
self-induced.
yeah, that is,
Pain,
and
pain is something you can't avoid. You stub your toe on a piece of furniture.
yes,
Yes, it hurts. It's painful. Now,
it's
what we
painful.
use the mind and add mentally to all that is self induced suffering. And it absolutely goes nowhere except it creates a new issue. It compounds the issue and becomes an emotional, mental baggage that we carry
Yes,
around.
yes. So what happens is we are trying to stop pain instead of trying to stop suffering. That's the first thing. That's the first biggest mistake. People are trying to stop pain. You can't stop pain. It's pain is like, already it's like a FedEx shipment already dispatched to your house. It's going to come and hit you. So you can't do anything. Don't even try to stop it. In fact, take your eye away from it. It's like where your attention goes. If your attention goes at trying to stop pain, which is natural, everyone wants to do that. Even I would want to do. But you realize very quickly that it's not in your. See, simple. I'll tell you. The eyes, the smell, the ears, that is the touch, and the touch and taste. These are called knowledge organs. These are not in your control completely because I can see anything horrible before my eyes. But the action organs are speech, hands, legs, and the reproductive organs and the defecatory. We use the hands, the legs, and the speech. They are called action organs, and they are completely in your control because they come last. You see, then it goes to the mind, then it goes to intellect, then the light comes from the spirit. It's a process. Then the message goes to the hand or the speech. So you have to realize that all suffering comes because we are mixing the knowledge and action organs. So when you separate, when you exercise restraint on the action organs, you know that you cannot exercise restraint on the knowledge organs. And people are trying to exercise restraint on that which is impossible. So trying so if you take your attention away from pain and go to, put your attention on suffering and say, okay, I know that there's a bliss sheet. I know, and you do all that stuff. Use a word and image. Get good in 12 seconds of concentration. You'll quickly realize, well, here I have 100% control, and you don't have to mix any words. It's a very clear thing because if you mix one drop, see what happens in sleep. See, if a person who is suffering sleeps, let's say for example, by some means he sleeps, the suffering is not there because in sleep one drop of bliss gets added, just one drop which wipes away 100,000 thought waves. It's magical. That's why it's called magic of God. So if you are able to bring in that one element of bliss through a 12-second concentration, through sheer rational conviction of knowledge and practice, and keep putting your faith and all that elements, experience, put your entire thing into that whole thing, then you will realize that this is not as difficult as you think so, in the sense of number of years. Yes, you will see the 12 seconds to be like 12 years. You will see it because you will notice this damn thing, I'm not able to get hold of a good 12 seconds. You'll see it for yourself that concentration is not easy, a 12-second concentration. And so without doing that, we are trying to do a 20-hour meditation it's not right.
I've always said that making contact with Creator is not hard. It's not about muscle and might and effort and stress and struggle. The universe has no concept of effort, struggle,
Correct.
might. I mean, it would, if that was the case, it would constantly have to lift spiritual weights to be
Yes.
able to manhandle everything in creation to keep it all going. No,
Yes.
there's a simple order that's laid out, and it's called being. So when we mimic the creator and find a simple space of being,
Yes.
then we find ourselves in a state of seeing and
Yes.
being with it in a state of harmony. This is powerful stuff, dude. This is the kind of arena stage I like playing on, man. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You said it
So,
well. You did it
so
well.
how would you suggest, since we have 8-ish minutes?
Okay.
Normally we go 90 minutes, but my brother Sri Vish has to, for whatever reason, he don't need to explain himself. But what would you like to offer all of us a little more insight as to how we can kind of get more into a space of samadhi?
Yeah. So the first thing is you should spend the first, I mean, the most simplest thing is you should spend the first 30 minutes with God without any exception. And whether things are going good or bad. So usually one tries to skip it if something goes wrong or something. If God is so important to you and you can't spend the first 30 minutes despite whether things are going good or bad, and you think, oh, if I skip 3 or 4 days, it's okay or it doesn't matter, then you probably are not in the game. And so that why I'm saying that is because most of us are not incarnations, or we are not come with supernatural powers. We're normal human beings doing various things, and yet we have the other side, which is transcendental, and which is great. So we have to uh, put a lot of emphasis on consistency, because consistency is often sort of not considered important, and powers are given more important. So when you combine this concentration and practice with consistency, then you will realize that you know there is a saying in Bhagavad Gita. It says, to men who exclusively meditate on me and worship me elaborately, I bring them prosperity and security. Is prosperity and security. You will see that God himself, through whatever means, will bring you that prosperity and security when you spend the first 30 minutes, because very few people do that. And if you do it, you will be taken care of because you took care of the first 30 minutes, and you are very clear, no, this has to go to God. You are very clear. Now that clarity, we may say it's not a mind clarity. You see, where do you go after you get up? So if you think it's something else, some other work is important, well, you can say so, but you're saying it out of ignorance. So that is something which is simple, but I think would actually bring in a lot of more. For you, it will because samadhi is one thing, you cannot get there without the grace of God. You can do all other things to get till that place, like you can go till that front door, the sanctum sanctorium, but for
So
it to
basically,
open.
you can't get there until you're ready. In fact, there's no way you can get in, because if there
Yes.
is a vibrational frequency and you're
Yes.
vibrating here, there's just no way you can't get in. It's
Yeah.
not that you actually being
Yes.
let in. You
Yes.
can't get in.
You
I
can.
always use this analogy, Vish. If we can imagine the kingdom of God, or the higher planes, or the spiritual realm, the serious spiritual realm, to be this kingdom of wholesome purity. And if we can see our lower selves down here and all our folly and monkey business as a cancer or non-well being, if you can't bring that there, it would create too much of
Yes.
a potential threat that the whole universe would collapse. It's spiritual law. You just can't get into the nightclub, man. You just can't get into the
Yeah. You.
nightclub.
Yeah.
You
It
just
just.
can't get in.
Yeah. It just. It opens when you're ready, and that's the reason you got to do all the fundamental works and know that it will open. It has to open. But if you just try to force it open, it's not going to open, and you will have your own versions of that opening the door. So because this whole thing is all open. I mean, nothing is closed. No door is closed. What is closed, right? It appears to be closed because of our mind and intellect. And so we got to spend a lot of time. It's like cleaning the mirror, the dirt in the mirror. The
So
first
would it
step.
be likened like, because our vibration isn't a match, we just can't see it. We just can't experience
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Yes. Now, one of the important things to realize is the highest samadhi is called nirvikalpa samadhi, which is where there is no modification of the mind whatsoever. Even like birds come and sit on your shoulder. Now, that is not necessary to attain moksha. So it's a very big thing. If you go one step below that, which is called the savikalpa samadhi, where you use a name and form and put that in the bliss sheet, that is sufficient to get to the moksha, as well as to realize that that is the highest state where unity of the God with you is attained. So this samadhi is an option for some people whose renunciation is extremely high and also get the grace of God. It's not a goal.
Right.
You can have a goal which is in before that also. So that's very important to understand that.
Sri Vish, we're at the top of the bottom of the show. If you
Yes.
would, is
Thank
there
you
a
very much.
is there a final idea you would like to leave us with?
Like consistency, I think that's what I would. I mean, that's what helped me attain the consistency, and pure knowledge is the fastest way to get there.
So consistency, we can see that as two parts. Consistency meaning frequent, how frequent you do it. So it's a
Correct.
how frequent, it's a frequency that you
Yes.
frequent. And then
Yes.
so doing it consistently and frequent, it ups our frequency.
Yes. Doing the 12 seconds multiple times during the day. Not even just the morning, but you can run through that cycle in various ways. Because we got to realize 12 seconds is fine to destroy the back of karma. If you hit the back of karma for 12 seconds, it will not trouble you for 12 hours.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank-
So I really enjoyed it. Keep us posted. I'll contact in a few months. Maybe we can do a Magic of God Part 2.
Yeah, okay, sure. Thank you very much. It was nice speaking to you.
Yanava,
Bye.
blessings, brother.
Bye.
Everyone, my brand new brother. Well, not brand new. That would imply the beginning. My cosmic bro, our cosmic bro, Sri Vish. I really enjoyed tonight's interview. I really did. I loved revisiting those places that I was able to touch again tonight. Like when I was in India visiting Sai Baba. Really, I wasn't there to see Sai Baba. I was really there to experience something about myself, and boy, did I. Wow. I had a fantastic time in India. I just really loved it. I was there for 2 weeks. Things got very rich and very full really quick, like eating cheesecake. After you had enough bites of cheesecake, you just don't want any more. I was there for 2 weeks. I got informationally, experientially pregnant, and I had to process that, which I think I'm due for another round. Center of Light Radio, Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard. I bid you all a wonderful evening. Yanava. Peace, love, and always remember to live in the light. You're living in the light now. Step out of what we don't know. Claim that you don't know anything. That'll nicely enhance your vibration, raise it up. Always intend to be in a space of stillness, samadhi, self-love, peace, love, and light. See you soon.